I was standing just outside the kitchen, one hand still gripping the cold handle of the refrigerator, when I heard my wife's voice drop to a dangerous whisper. "He wants a baby so badly. He won't even do the math," she said, her voice light and wicked like a teenager sneaking out past curfew. "I'm ovulating, and Stevie's already got a hotel booked for one last unprotected night." Her best friend, Monica, gasped softly. "Isn't that playing with fire?" A pause. Then came her laugh, low, smug. "Fire? He's foolish enough to raise a child that isn't even his." My world froze. I had just returned from a late-night grocery run because she'd casually mentioned craving peanut butter cups. I hadn't planned on eavesdropping. But how could I not? That voice, the same one that used to tell me she loved me every night, was now mocking me behind my back. I didn't say a word, didn't storm in, didn't confront. I just walked silently back out the door, got in my car, and drove to a 24-hour diner where I sat with a mug of black coffee for 3 straight hours, staring into nothing. My thoughts raced between denial and devastation. We had been trying for a baby for 9 months. Monthly schedules. Doctors. Vitamins. I thought we were in this together. Clearly, I was wrong. When I got home at 3:27 a.m., she was already asleep, or pretending to be. I lay beside her in bed, feeling the warmth of someone I no longer knew. That night, I didn't sleep, but I did make a decision. The next morning, after she left for her yoga class, I picked up my phone and made a call. A friend from college had become a private investigator in Austin. Discreet, ruthless, loyal. I told him everything I'd overheard. His answer was simple. "Give me a week." Little did I know it wouldn't take that long. 3 days. That's all it took. On the third morning, Marcus, the private investigator, sent me a secure file. No warning. No message. Just a link and a password. I opened it in the bathroom, door locked, my hands trembling. There were photos. Not grainy or ambiguous. Crystal clear images of my wife and Stevie. Stevie. My former coworker. My one-time friend. The man who came to our house last Thanksgiving and brought wine and stories about his lonely bachelor life. The guy I once confided in about my fears of infertility. They were together at a boutique hotel downtown. Laughing. Drinking wine. Holding hands. Then another photo, both of them entering room 314. And the final image, one that burned itself into my brain, was them at checkout. Her hair still damp, wearing the same hoodie the night before, and hugged me. I stared at that image for 10 minutes straight. The man I had trusted, the woman I had loved, plotting a child I thought was ours. I couldn't breathe, couldn't scream. My throat tightened. I sat on the edge of the bathroom, staring at the tiles, wondering if any of this was real. That night, she made it. She kissed me on the cheek. She curled up beside me, rolling through the baby names on the phone. I have a good feeling about this one. I nodded. She had no idea I already knew. But now, I had proof. I forwarded the evidence to my lawyer, Karen Ellis, sharp as a scalpel and cold as steel. I told her, I'm not ready to confront her yet, but when I do, I want every legal card stacked in my hand. Karen's reply was instant. You've got it. For the next few days, I played the part, the loving husband, the hopeful future father. I rubbed her back. I brought her fresh juice in the mornings. I even picked up baby books from the store, all while watching her, all while memorizing every lie she told without blinking. Because this time, I wasn't going to react with anger. I was going to finish the game she started and end it where she never saw it coming. By the end of that week, I was no longer just surviving. I was planning. Every move she made, I noted. Every excuse, every lie, every late-night shower or extra shift at the gym. It was all logged, time-stamped, and cross-referenced with the PI's reports. She thought she was clever, but she was only consistent, and that made her predictable. Karen, my attorney, was thrilled with the evidence. If she tries to fight for alimony, she said during a lunch meeting, this will absolutely crush her chances. Infidelity alone isn't enough in court. But calculated deception tied to paternity fraud? That's a nuclear bomb. I asked, "What about the baby?" Karen adjusted her glasses and looked me square in the eyes. "If you're not biologically the father and we prove she committed premeditated deception, we can challenge paternity entirely. No financial responsibility. No shared custody. Nothing." I exhaled. Slowly. I hadn't told Karen the one truth I didn't want to admit. Part of me still wanted the baby, even if it wasn't mine. But I had to bury that part. Because the man she betrayed didn't deserve to raise a child built on lies. And that child didn't deserve to grow up in a home poisoned by resentment. So I moved forward. I had the locks changed on our safety deposit box. I opened a secret bank account. I began shifting my assets discreetly, legally, and quietly. Everything I could do to protect myself financially, I did. Even took out a storage unit and started clearing out anything sentimental or irreplaceable. And all the while, she kept pretending. Every night, she'd lie down next to me, head on my chest, talking about nursery colors and baby shower themes, like we were some fairy tale couple starting a dream life. "You're gonna be such a good dad," she whispered one night, fingers tracing circles on my stomach. I almost laughed, but I didn't, because soon I'd show her what kind of man I really was. The moment came unexpectedly. She left her phone on the kitchen counter while showering. Normally, she guarded that thing like it was made of gold. But this time, it was unlocked. And there it was. A text from Stevie. "Tonight, 9 p.m. Same room. Last time, I swear. After this, we cut it off. He can never know." She replied, "He doesn't suspect a thing. Face blowing a kiss after tonight. I'll be pregnant for sure." I took a screenshot. And then, for the first time in weeks, I smiled, because it was time to set the trap. I spent the entire next day preparing, not for a confrontation, but for a performance. I told her I had an emergency work meeting at 8 p.m. Probably won't be back until midnight, I said casually over dinner. She barely blinked, just nodded, her fork swirling pasta as she smiled down at her plate. "I might just go to bed early then," she said sweetly. Liar. At 7:30 p.m., I left the house in my car, drove 3 blocks, then circled around and parked a rental vehicle, one she'd never recognize, across the street from the hotel Marcus had identified. Room 314. Same one as last time. At 8:58 p.m., I watched her step out of an Uber, dressed like she was going to a red carpet event, not a betrayal. Red lips. Tight black dress. That same fake smile I used to fall for. She walked inside. At 9:07 p.m., Stevie entered, looking nervous and twitchy, carrying a bottle of wine like some twisted romantic. Marcus was already inside in the adjacent room. Hidden cameras in place. Microphone ready. It was all being recorded, legally, with my name on the hotel reservation and the suite next door. We had the paperwork to back it up. Karen made sure of that. I sat in the rental, listening to the live audio feed as their voices filled the air. "Stevie, are you sure about this? What if he finds out?" He won't. He's desperate. He doesn't question anything. "This baby will save our marriage, and you'll be free. He'll raise it thinking it's his." Then laughter. A bed creaking. And something inside me just shattered. I felt the weight of everything I'd lost, everything I'd believed in. The love I thought was real. The family I thought we were building. All reduced to a performance in a hotel room. But that pain? It forged something stronger than anger. It forged clarity. I waited outside until the lights went off. Then I walked into the lobby, signed in as the suite guest, and made my way upstairs with the manager, who had been informed and briefed earlier by Karen's office. We knocked once, then used the master key. She gasped as the door opened, clutching a sheet to her chest like modesty could save her now. Stevie stuttered, half-dressed, his face pale. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just looked her in the eyes and said, "Smile for the camera." Then I turned to the hotel manager. I'd like a printed log of all activity associated with this room. Charges. Check-ins. Everything. She opened her mouth to speak, but I was already walking away, because the trap had been sprung. The next morning, she was quiet. No fake smiles. No breakfast on the table. No morning playlist humming in the background like usual. She just sat on the edge of the bed, robe wrapped tight around her, staring at the floor like a child caught red-handed. I walked in, freshly showered, freshly calm. "I booked us an appointment," I said, tossing a folded paper onto the dresser. "Prenatal DNA test. Non-invasive. We'll know in 7 days." Her head jerked up. Her lips parted like she wanted to deny everything, twist the narrative, cry about betrayal, but she saw the look in my eyes. That part of me that used to beg for love was dead. She reached for the paper. "You don't trust me?" I laughed once, soft and cold. "You're 2 weeks pregnant. Right? That's what you told Monica." Her eyes went wide. "Yes." I'd listened to more than just the hotel. Her voice cracked. You recorded me?" "No," I said calmly. "You gave me the story. I just wrote the ending." She lunged toward me, face twisted. "You can't do this to me. You're going to ruin everything." "Everything was already ruined," I said, stepping back. "You just didn't think I'd ever find the match to your fire." She didn't go to the DNA appointment, so I went alone. I had already arranged it with the clinic. Sample collection from her toothbrush, her hairbrush, even the discarded tissues she left in the trash. Karen made sure it was all handled legally, for court admissibility. A week passed, and then the results came in. 0% probability of paternity. The baby wasn't mine. I stared at that line for a long time. Longer than I should have. Not because I was surprised, deep down I knew, but because seeing it in ink, official and clinical, felt like a funeral. The child I had already imagined rocking to sleep, teaching how to ride a bike, walking down the aisle someday, gone. But grief turned to focus. I scanned the report and sent it to Karen with one subject line. "Let's finish this." She called within the hour. "I'm filing for divorce today. No alimony. Full protection of your assets. And if she tries to contest, we'll use the surveillance, text messages, and paternity report." I nodded into the phone. "And Stevie?" Karen's voice sharpened. "I've already contacted his employer. That footage will make a compelling ethics violation case." Perfect. Because now it wasn't just about walking away. It was about making sure they never saw this coming. The courtroom was cold, not just in temperature but in tone. My wife, Amber, sat across from me in a cream blazer, trying to look innocent and composed. Stevie wasn't there. He had gone underground ever since the footage leaked. His job? Gone. His name? Now whispered in scandal. And her? Still trying to play the victim. She had filed a response to the divorce petition, claiming emotional manipulation, hoping to secure alimony and joint custody of the unborn child, even after the DNA results. She still thought she had a chance. Karen stood tall beside me, heels clicking with authority as she handed the judge a thick file. "Your Honor," she said, "we have clear and irrefutable evidence of intentional paternity fraud, documented infidelity, and strategic deception carried out by the respondent." Amber shifted in her seat. Her lawyer whispered something, but she shook her head, lips pressed tight. Karen continued. "Included in this file are verified text messages, audio recordings, hotel surveillance footage, and a certified DNA report proving that Mr. Carter is not the father of the unborn child." The judge flipped through the documents silently, then looked up. "Ms. Carter," he said firmly, "do you contest any of this?" She stood. I made a mistake," she said, her voice trembling for the first time. "But that doesn't mean I deserve to be abandoned. I thought he couldn't give me a child. I panicked. I didn't want to lose our marriage." I raised my eyebrows. Now she wanted the marriage? Karen stepped in smoothly. This wasn't a moment of panic. This was a calculated lie. A child conceived through betrayal, intended to trap my client emotionally and financially. We're not here to argue heartbreak. We're here to establish justice. The judge nodded slowly. "Given the documentation, I'm granting the divorce with immediate effect. There will be no alimony, no claim to shared property or future assets." As for the child, paternity is not established. Mr. Carter has no legal or financial responsibility. Amber sat down like someone had pulled the floor out from under her. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. But inside, I felt it, peace. Cold but clean, like a long breath after holding it for too long. Outside the courthouse, Karen patted my back. You held your ground. You didn't retaliate with rage. That's rare. I looked at the gray sky above us. She gambled everything on a lie, I said. I just made sure the truth got the final word. But it wasn't over.
Not yet.
There was still one more thing I needed to do. The courtroom felt like closure, but it wasn't. Not really. She still lived in our old neighborhood. Still walked into the same grocery store. Still told mutual friends that I'd abandoned her during pregnancy. The narrative she spun was a lie wrapped in a victim's cloak. I didn't need revenge anymore. Not the loud, dramatic kind. I had the truth. But something in me needed one last thing. Not for her, but for me. So, I did something calculated. I bought a full-page ad in the local Sunday paper. The kind older folks still read with coffee, and newer ones saw passed around online. Simple, sharp, and quiet as a knife. To the woman who said I'd never know.
Turns out I did. And now?
Everyone else does too. OC. A link to the public case filing and court verdict below. By Monday morning, the town had seen it. By Monday afternoon, her employer had too. I hadn't even known she was trying to hold on to her job at a local nonprofit, ironically one focused on family integrity. I never said a word to them.
Didn't need to.
The court documents did the talking. And then came the texts. From her. From Stevie. From mutual acquaintances who suddenly wanted to check in. I ignored them all. Instead, I sat on the back patio of my new apartment with a beer, watching the sun dip low over Austin's skyline, feeling the weight of everything she'd tried to bury finally lift from my chest. A week later, Karen sent me a letter that Amber had tried to file, a request for an official mediation. She wanted to rebuild trust, she claimed. She hoped I'd co-parent. But the baby wasn't mine, and I no longer owed her anything. I sent one final message through Karen.
There is no we left.
Raise your child with the man you made that choice with. I wish you peace, but not my presence. Then I blocked every number, closed every door, and packed up the last remnants of my old life. There was no more need to prove anything. Only one thing left. 3 months later, I stood on a new porch, in a new zip code, with the kind of silence I never knew I needed. The chaos was behind me. Divorce finalized. Property separated. Reputation intact.
Amber?
Last I heard, Stevie had ghosted her completely. She gave birth alone. Word got out that the baby did resemble him, right down to the unmistakable eyes. The community that once adored her now kept their distance. That's the thing about manipulation. Once exposed, it loses its magic.
But me?
I was healing. Slowly, honestly. Therapy helped. Friends helped more. And time did its quiet work. The biggest change? I stopped blaming myself. For months, I thought her betrayal said something about me. My worth, my trust, my inability to see through the lies. But it didn't. Her choices were never about my failures. They were about her own emptiness.
I still want a family.
Still want to be a father one day. But now I know what I don't want. Love built on deception. Loyalty bought with manipulation. Parenthood faked for leverage. The child she had? I hope he grows up differently. I hope someone gives him the honesty his mother couldn't. And as for me, I finally started living again. I met someone. No labels yet. No rush. Just peace. And real laughter. I walk lighter now. No more secrets. No more schemes. No more pretending. Because I saw hell and walked out cleaner than I walked in. The past didn't break me. It built me.